Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you can be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson, available wherever podcasts can be found. And of course, tape live at the Twitch, twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. For the new subs out there, the Steve notes are out, so you can check those out and follow along as we talk about the Celebration of Life memorial show for Brodie Lee. AEW Dynamite tonight, definitely an emotional one, a heartbreaking one, but nonetheless, it was a celebration of his life. I thought it was classy. It was executed perfectly. It was a beautiful, beautiful tribute.
It really was an amazing, beautiful celebration of Brodie Lee's life. I mean, 2 hours of either crying or being on the verge of tears, basically. All the tributes, all the matches, all the shout-outs to Brodie Lee. We saw Eric Redbeard.
Rowan. Big Red.
Do a run-in
Big Red.
at one point, and then held up a sign. And man, that was like the first moment that just about really broke me.
Yeah,
I mean, I was getting a little misty throughout everything that preceded, but that, man.
Yeah, from the jump when they did the 10 bell and Miro was completely broken, and then you see his kid there and it's like, oh Lord, and it's starting to hit me there. But yeah, multiple times throughout the show, it hit me pretty hard, man. I mean, you don't have to be a family person. You don't have to have kids to understand the magnitude of what the wrestling world, the world lost, to really get it. But it does. I mean, having kids, you can't help but look at your own during all this when you see -1 down there. And given that you and I are within just a few years of Brodie Lee's age, John Huber's age, it does strike you as it hits a bit closer to home.
It does. And my oldest is right about the same age as -1, So yeah, it definitely has hit really close to home.
You can teach her how to use a kendo stick if MJF ever gives her some guff.
Yeah.
Some dude in a proud and powerful bandana.
Yeah.
Comes up to her. So yeah, just an absolutely beautiful show. That was some of it, like the main event, -1's favorites, was, it had his fingerprints on it. There is some news about, towards the end of the show, they retired the current iteration of the TNT title, officially handing it over to Brodie Jr. And Tony Schiavone on his podcast after the show, confirmed that there's a new design in the works right now. But I mean, beyond that, I thought they did a really excellent job of not just paying tribute to him within that context, adding, even if it's just a little bit, or continuing on the current stories that are playing out. Everybody, continue their roles. I did have a bit of I don't know, this is not a revelation necessarily, but the stuff Archer was doing in the ring, that moonsault from the old school walking the ropes. And then there was one other move. Forgot what it was. I probably have it written down.
Yeah, I think I do too.
Is it just me, or should Archer totally be a face?
I know. I know.
He was so good wrestling face tonight. I'm like, you have enough bad guy monsters. Turn that dude face.
Archer hit a frog splash. I think that's kind of the point of him.
Yeah, the frog splash, right?
Kind of the point of him of kind of joining up with Death Triangle was to kind of, veer him off into babyface territory. I mean, he could be more of a tweener because he obviously still has a bit of a beef with Pac, given what happened a couple weeks ago. But yeah, they managed to, tie in some ongoing stories into the tribute show, but definitely make the focus of it tribute show. And do a little storytelling kind of on the periphery.
Yeah. Oh man. Taco Dan says on the Unrestricted podcast, Brodie mentioned his kids slept with the TNT title while he was champion. I can imagine he'll be doing the same tonight.
Yep.
Wow. So yeah, it was absolutely just a beautiful show. You know, if what Meltzer is saying is true and Tony Khan, you know, rewrote the entire show late at night, you know, sometimes that's when inspiration really hits, you know, and it just sort of, it happens. And if that's the case or whatever the case is, he did a brilliant job, you know, putting this thing together and everybody
not
gave
that everybody
everything they had.
Exactly, but to say that all the matches, everybody's putting everything they had into it. Everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, just a amazing, beautiful, really emotional night to celebrate the life of Mr. Brodie Lee.
Another quick tidbit, interesting information here before we get into the nuts and bolts of the show. Brodie Lee's memorial T-shirt broke the new record, the new 24-hour record for Pro Wrestling Tees.
I mentioned this before we got rolling, that when they did the little ad for it on Dynamite, I clicked over to Shop AEW. They had a little pop-up thing for the shirt. Clicked on that, went probably to take some notes or something, came back to it, and the page was down. Within a couple minutes, it was back up. I just refreshed a couple times. It was back. So yeah, obviously they were getting a ton of traffic.
Yeah. I mean, Sting just broke the 24-hour record for Pro Wrestling Tees, and now Brodie Lee's shirt. I mean, not shocking at all. It's just, the love has been, it's everywhere for this guy. It's still, we were talking about it. We had like a half-hour pre-show over on Twitch, which you can enjoy if you catch the show live. If you like the show, we got a lot more before it, and then we got a lot more if you're a sub. Or a Patreon or a patron or a YouTube channel member. We got all sorts of bonus content today. We did an Ask Stephen Larson live where we look back on our 2020s. No wrestling questions there allowed. But yeah, let's just go ahead and dive into it.
Sure.
So, you know, they did obviously open up with the 10-bell salute. The roster, you know, Miro was the one who most visibly was sobbing. But everybody had, you know, red eyes and sniffly noses. Obviously, a couple people were, you know, holding back tears, some not quite holding them back. And then front and center was Brodie Lee's wife and Brodie Lee Jr. -1 with his own Dark Order mask on
and a suit. He's wearing a suit just like his dad.
Tony Khan was out there as well. So yeah.
After that, we had a Mox promo. And he more or less says, hey, you know, for the first time in a long time, I've had a hard time coming up with words. You know, he relates some stories about Brodie, how he liked to stir the pot, but he brought joy to everybody around him. Talked about spending a decade with Brodie. Brodie loved being a dad, a husband, a father above all else. And he said, you know, I guess he told Mox, hey, you'll really like it too. And Mox was like, at the time, no, I want to be able to order food at 2 a.m. He'd essentially kind of do what I want to do. And then he calls Brodie's death, I hope I get this right, a Pride-style soccer kick to the face.
Yeah.
He says, pro wrestling is a community. When the chips are down, they support each other. They love each other. Tonight, we come together to rage against the dying of the light, to celebrate a great human, to appreciate the people we love every day, because every day is a gift. And every day, Mox said, that he spent with Brodie was all the more special. He says he loves Brodie. He'll never forget him.
We had Jericho showing up for commentary in advance of the first match. I thought Jericho, we mentioned this in the pre-show as well, I thought Jericho struck a great tone. You know, he was fully Jericho, but, you know, when he's doling out lines like, if you want to cry, it's okay, damn it. You know, he understood what tone to strike and what we were all there for.
A couple things I liked too were throughout the show, they're kind of relating the history of the Dark Order, not just in terms of what we saw in front of the camera, but to a degree what we saw behind the camera. They made reference to many people thought Matt Hardy was going to be the Exalted One, only of course for Brodie Lee to be in that role. Other little bits, you know, they talked about how Dark Order was kind of floundering prior to Brodie Lee making his arrival in AEW. It was pretty interesting that they were going through the full history of the Dark Order, in many cases behind the camera as well as in front of it.
It's refreshing, you know, dude. There's always a push and pull with professional wrestling. I mean, historically, there's always been a push and pull between you know, the real and the and you know, the work and the shoot, if you will.
Yeah.
And AEW has you know, over their year and change, you know, existence on TV anyways, they have really managed to find such comfortability with both aspects of pro wrestling, the work and the shoot, you know, the real and the, if you want to say fake, whatever. I mean that in a complimentary fashion. They're so comfortable with it. They're so comfortable with us being, and I use the word sophisticated enough. You know, they don't insult our intelligence. We know it's a show. When Jericho says Ortiz is a great performer, we understand what he means. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And yet we still find the drama in the stories. They understand that. Yes, because that's what good storytelling is. We know that, you know, the Avengers movies, for example, that's not real. We still get wrapped up in the drama of it. Right. And, you know, and pro wrestling is in such a unique position that, you know, it presents itself, or traditionally it has presented itself as real. It does. Even AEW presents its universe as a real universe, but with always the awareness, the self-awareness that, hey, people know that this isn't the, you know, actual people having actual fights. This is, you know, trained professionals performing a craft for your entertainment. Yes, and telling stories, yes. And to do something so effortlessly, where in other situations there's just you know, in other promotions there's some really bizarrely self-conscious takes on that concept. It's a striking difference, and it's such a refreshing change from the norm. Yeah, agreed. So the first match was Matt Hardy and Private Party versus the Young Bucks. Matt Hardy and Private Party versus the Young Bucks and Dark Order. We had for Dark Order we had Colt Cabana. Yeah, that's right. You mentioned Jericho on commentary. Colt coming out and being on the verge of tears. It pretty much broke me right there. Really fun match. They're kind of telling the story. So Matt Hardy's kind of done this, you know, kind of like slow, low-key heel turn where he's all about himself. He's all about, putting over his own legacy. And he's Private Party throughout this match. Commentary is really hammering home the point that Private Party was being more aggressive than they had been in the past. That all kind of came to a head at one point where Matt Hardy introduces a chair. He's on the apron with chair in hand, and Mark Quinn's like, "No, that's too much, man." Matt Hardy needs to take baby steps, man. You know, get them to be a bit more aggressive, and then very slowly introduce the concept of chair into the match, or into a match down the line, into their repertoire. In my Steve notes, I've got Matt Hardy and Private Party and the Young Bucks versus the Dark Order. That clearly wasn't it. I was distracted pretty early on. Yeah. Again, if you're a sub, you can get access to my slowly mentally deteriorating Steve notes. Yeah, man. Sometimes I'll sit here and be like, "Can I put the sentence together that I'm thinking in my head?" Nope. Doesn't happen all the time. So anyway, so he's on the apron. Mark Quinn wants nothing to do with it. So Nick Jackson elbows Quinn, tags in Colt. Colt knocks Hardy off the apron, hits a bionic elbow on Quinn. Cassidy hits Enziguri on Colt, I believe. Private Party set for gin and juice. Colt escapes. Young Bucks hit Indie Taker on Quinn, and Colt follows with the Superman pin to get the win. Yes. Yeah. Big match for Colt Cabana. They obviously, you know, he was obviously hit pretty hard by this, and the floor was basically his here in this match. Him and Nick both had a really great performance. Yeah. So the Acclaimed walkout after the bout. Max Caster says, "I got something to say about all this Dark Order stuff." Before he could say what that is, SCU hit the stage, dumped them into the ring. They eat a couple super kicks, and then an elbow from Colt. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. After that, we had a video promo from Darby Allin, filmed in his black and white aesthetic. And he talked about being really excited when Brodie Lee showed up in AEW. Said, you know, he was really excited. He was the number one guy that he was interested in having a match with. Said, you know, the guy had no ego. He was not there to put himself over. He was there to elevate the younger people, the younger guys. He wasn't selfish. He wanted to lift everybody up. He said, picking his brain, he had so much knowledge that he was willing to share. He was the man, the number one dude I wish I could have wrestled. So there was some real bittersweet sentiments there from Darby Allin, you know, having never got to wrestle the guy.
Next, we had Lance Archer, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson taking on Eddie Kingston, Butcher and the Blade. Lance Archer wearing some Luke Harper gear for this bout. Eddie dropped a bit of a promo before the match started. Says, "Love you, Brodie. I miss you. This match is for you, but I got to say it. The Dark Order is nothing without you, and we're gonna prove it tonight." Mm-hmm. And so Eddie gets in the ring. They're about to start the match. Evil Unos goes over him and boots him. Mm-hmm. Kicks the heck out of him. Huge brawl breaks out. Dark Order and Archer clear the ring. They have the early advantage. Bunny trips up Stu. Later on, Jake trips up the Blade. Eventually, though, Archer is in control. He hits a moonsault on Blade off of Old School. Fantastic.
Dude, so we were talking about this during pre-show. So yeah, Archer had Luke Harper gear on, which was great. And yeah, like the moves of this guy was, I'm like, this dude is, I mean, it's like the Undertaker. That was the Undertaker stuff, you know? It was like,
yeah, Undertaker never did a moonsault off Old School though.
Well, what I'm suggesting, it's like the next, like, you know, everybody's like, wow, the Undertaker, look at this huge guy, he can do all this stuff. That was his thing. It's like he moves all slow and then I can bring it out.
Yeah.
Like this, the frog splash, the moonsault off the Old School rope walk.
Lance Archer's great.
Turn this guy. I don't even need a tweener, just pure baby face.
Yeah, you just want smiling baby face Lance Archer.
Yeah. So yeah, I just, while you were talking there, this is why I got distracted. I was looking up. I was like, wait a second. So Brodie and Darby Allin never had so they never wrestled, those two, Darby Allin and Brodie Lee.
That's what Darby said.
The only video I found I was like, wait, what's this? This is Brodie Lee versus Darby Allin, and it's like a 2K19 video.
Yeah, that's usually, you think of a match. Has this match happened? You go searching for it, and it's usually some video game thing.
Right.
So then, Lance hits that frog splash later on after some Dark Order double team offense. Butcher and Eddie break up that pin. Later on, Stu tags in Archer. He hits a fun splash on the Blade. Looks for blackout. Eddie makes the save, but he eats a forearm. Stu's in. He knees Blade. DDT's Butcher on the apron.
That was sick.
That
was because he like flips over the ropes and it was great.
And then Dark Order hit their finish to get the win. Afterwards, Eddie just gets back in the ring, gets beat up by the Dark Order. And then Jake hits him with a short arm clothesline.
You have to appreciate Kingston comes out. Oops, sorry, excuse me. Kingston comes out and says something that, you know, some people could consider would cross the line, but then he, fully understanding, he gets his ass whooped for the majority of this match.
Well, it's the same thing with the MJF stuff.
Sure,
in the next match where MJF was talking trash to Brodie's kid. Mm-hmm. You know full well before that match is over that -1 is going to do something to MJF.
Exactly.
MJF is going to get his comeuppance, and it happened.
Yeah, totally.
Before that next bout, though, we had a video package where he had Dax Harwood, Arn Anderson, Colt Cabana, and Bryce Remsburg talking about Brodie's relationship with his family.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Bryce punctuates it by saying he should be on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling dads. I mean, that's one thing that like several people had mentioned, and I think it was in this as well, how, you know, I think it was Dax mentioned that, you know, if he had to drive as quickly as he could for 3 hours after a taping, he would go do it to go back, be back with his family. Like, he viewed wrestling as what puts food on the table, because his number one passion was his family. And the thing that struck me the most, that I cherish in my household, is when they talk about how much they would see that family laughing. You know, they would always be like joking and just in the best mood being around each other. I'm like, God, man, if I got any advice for people, is just, you know, keep the laughter going in your household, because that's the stuff that really matters, you know?
So the Inner Circle make their way out to the ring after Paige, Silver, and Reynolds come down. MJF, he's got some trunks with the Puerto Rican flag on them. He's got a bandana that says "Proud and Powerful," right?
Oh my God, that killed me. Because I was like, "What is that?" And then he turns around, he's got the Puerto Rican flag on his trunks. Oh, that was good. That was good.
Yeah. So before the match starts, Silver and Reynolds. So Silver's wearing some Brodie Lee gear, like his inspired gear, you know. So both Silver and Reynolds kind of open up their robes and pull some papers out a la Brodie Lee, throws him at the inner circle. And so they kind of go on the apron. Paige is starting the match. He's still wearing his vest. And he kind of opens up his vest like, hey, look, no papers.
Well, the whole time he's sort of holding his vest tight.
Yeah.
And I think when he did this, I think the camera was supposed to catch it because they were tucked there. And he does, because he's holding his vest closed all the time. He does this, and I'm like, damn it, I guarantee you there's papers there. And he thought the camera would have caught it.
Because the look on his face made it seem like, well, they have papers. I don't have papers.
Yeah.
When he opened his vest. But then he did have papers.
Yeah, he got the papers.
He got the papers. So MJF boots him. A little bit of back and forth. And then, Paige tosses some papers at MJF. MJF rolls out of the ring and then starts talking trash to Brodie's son. Shortly after that, Inner Circle, they turn tables while Silver's in the ring for a little bit. He stops Santana with a back elbow. Alex Reynolds gets the tag. He's isolated for a stretch. There's one moment where MJF gets on the top rope, and before he takes his leap off, he gives Brodie Jr. the middle finger.
Yep.
He leaps. He eats a huge boot from Hangman Page. Silver's in. He goes on a run, just laying out everybody. Hits Ortiz with a top rope crossbody. A powerbomb gets a 2. Santana in. He hits him with a rolling cutter. Reynolds stomps him. Ortiz takes him out. Page hits Ortiz with the discus forearm. MJF kind of does an arm wringer on Page in the corner. Silver hits MJF with a gorgeous destroyer.
Oh my God, that was insane because it wasn't like a normal destroyer.
It was almost like a Poison Rana destroyer type thing.
Yeah.
I can't articulate how he did it. I've never seen it like that.
I flipped my lid on that one.
Yeah. He hits the suicide dive. He gets back in the ring. MJF hits him with the heat seeker. And then Santana Ortiz hits some double team moves. Reynolds breaks up the pin. So the ref is distracted. Wardlow gets the ring. He clotheslines Silver. Out comes Eric Redbeard.
That was shocking. Rowan.
Redbeard. So
that's the exchange at Jericho. Jericho started yelling, "It's Eric Rowan, the Bludgeon Brothers! It's Eric Rowan!"
And Excalibur's like, Eric Redbeard.
Oh, that was good.
Oh, that was fantastic. So he comes out. He choke slams Wardlow. They start brawling out of the ring towards backstage. Dark Order hit a bunch of moves. Page hits a buckshot lariat and Ortiz. MJF puts Ortiz's foot on the rope during the pin. MJF rolls ringside, pulls off Brodie Jr.'s mask, and then he clocks MJF over the head with the kendo stick that he had with him all night. Mm-hmm. Page then takes out MJF with a plancha. Silver hits Ortiz with a discus lariat. Brodie's finisher to get the win. After the match, Silver just overcome with emotion. Redbeard comes back out, has a sign, I believe it said, goodbye for now.
It said, goodbye for now, brother. See you down the road.
Yeah. So, that's when Rowe and Redbeard came back out with a sign, man. Oh, lost it.
Yeah, dude. I know. Same. Because he was obviously broken up about it, and as he would be. Yeah. It was boy, that was something else.
After that, Eddie Kingston had a sit down promo. Says he's going to miss Brodie. Going to miss Brodie believing in him when Eddie didn't believe in himself. And he says, I want to tell Brodie's kids that their dad's never gone. As long as they're around, his father lives on. Calls Brodie a warrior inside and outside of the ring because he always took care of his family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was, boy. I knew as soon as I saw Kingston, I didn't like, he did the one in the ring where first he said the nice stuff, and I was like, okay. But then when I saw him on the video, I was like, this is probably going to make me cry because it's Eddie Kingston.
Sure enough.
And as soon as he says, thanks for believing in me, I'm going to miss you believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. Oh. So after that, we had, again, the look on Anna Jay's face, and Anna Jay had a little moment that she shared, I think either on Instagram or on social, something where she had mentioned that, remember they had that mask of hers when she first debuted?
Yeah.
And she got rid of it, or they had her get rid of it.
Yeah, I think they said that she didn't have to wear it anymore. Brodie asked her about that.
He said, "Where'd that mask go?" And she said, I'm not wearing it anymore. He's like, "Good, I hated that thing," because clearly she did too. Mm-hmm. you know. So yeah, she seemed pretty broken up about things. But yeah, she had a tag match against Britt Baker and Penelope Ford.
Yeah, her and Ty Conti. Anna Jay had the upper hand for a good stretch. Britt gets in. Anna Jay still in control. Conti tags in. She maintains control after Ford gets tagged in until Rebel distracts the ref. That allows Britt and Penelope to get in some offense. There's this great bit where Anna Jay has the advantage, and she does the Dark Order pose, and is just starting to cry. And you know, you're anticipating that's when the finish is going to happen. Instead, though, let me see where I missed my spot here. Anyways, Britt decks her from behind, I believe, is what happened.
Yeah, she does this, and Britt gets her from behind. Yeah.
Match continues. Eventually, though, she gets Penelope Ford in the Queen Slayer sleeper. This bit was great, where Britt is like she's getting in the ring to try to break it up, and Ty Conti jumps over Anna Jay and does like a forearm to Britt and just lays her out. Rebel tries to get in the ring. Ty keeps her out. Ford taps.
It was a really great finish. It was a good
finish. It was a really good finish. So afterwards, Tony comes down the ring to interview Britt. She says, "I'm sick of this conspiracy. The whole match was rigged. Anna Jay is rigged. Ty Conti is rigged. The whole thing is a big rig."
That was a great reference. So Brodie Lee at one time was referred to as Big Rig in his indie days, I believe.
Yeah, as well as the Right Stuff.
Yeah, he was the Right Stuff, and then he came back as the Big Rig. Yeah.
So then Thunder Rosa hits the ring, starts hitting some punches on Britt. Rebel tries to break it up. She's not successful. A bunch of refs run out. They break it up.
Yep. So after that, we had, I believe, a Chris Jericho video promo where he talks about Brodie being smart. He relates a time in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia when I guess they were in a room together, and he notices like a little sticker, a little mark up on his ceiling, and he was just bugging the crap out of me. Like, I don't know what this thing was, and I sort of mentioned that, and Brodie said, "Well, that's the arrow that's pointing to Mecca," and he was like, "How do you know that?" And Brodie says, "Everybody knows that." He was like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And he said, it goes to show he was one of the smartest guys that you'd know, one of the most cultured guys you know, one of the best performers in the ring. And he said, I'm glad that we got these last 6 months of his career because he proved he could be a legit main event, big money draw guy. And he said, one last little bit. My dog, who is angry, hates everybody, doesn't get along with anybody, hates guests. When John came to my house one time, my dog went up to him and licked his hand and said even he knew how good of a soul Brodie Lee was. And he said, "Yeah, I'll miss you."
Yeah. Next, Team Taz. This is -1's dream match, I believe. Team Taz versus 10. Orange Cassidy, Cody. They early on, they Orange Cassidy does the pocket stuff and the kicking the shin and stuff like that. I thought, I don't know what it was, just the interplay between him and Will Hobbs tonight when they did that bit, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, me too, because they're so diametrically opposed. The feat of strength thing.
Yeah.
When he comes down and Hobbs is going for it, he's like, "Oh, maybe I'll get it." Yeah. He comes down and he just does. But it was great because
really
they're
good.
both.
It was really good, and Cassidy threw in that kind of lazy shoulder tackle too before he started kicking the shins. And Will Hobbs drops him with an amazing spinning power slam.
Yeah.
Will Hobbs is great.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, Orange is isolated for a good stretch until he reverses a suplex from Ricky Starks. And then he gets tagged to Cody eventually. Cody goes on a run until he hits a knee from Brian Cage, and then he and Starks hit double clotheslines on each other. Cody tags in 10. 10 goes on a run, hits a power slam, a huge power bomb as well on Starks, boots Hobbs off the apron. He turns around, Starks hits him with a spear. Cassidy in to break up that pin. Cassidy gets in. He goes for a beach break. Starks reverses that into Rochambeau. Reverses it into Rochambeau. Cassidy reverses that into a DDT. And then Will Hobbs basically runs right through Orange Cassidy. Just lays him out.
Yeah.
Cody sends Hobbs out of the ring. Cage hits Cody with a flatliner. 10 sends Cage out of the ring. Starks hits 10 with the tornado DDT gets a 2 count. And the Taz gets the chair and starts walking up to the stage. Arn gets the chair, starts walking up to the stage. The ref is distracted. So Orange gets in there, hits an orange punch. Cody hits Crossroads, and then 10 hits Spinebuster on Ricky Starks to get the win. Afterwards, Team Taz hits the ring, beats up all the baby faces. Lights come down, and Darby Allin walks into the door or the area where Mox usually enters it. And so he takes a few steps, leans against the wall. Lights come down again. Mm-hmm. Snow starts falling.
Yeah.
It's Sting. And he walks in through that door right there. And he and Darby walk down the ring, and it was great. Ricky Stark's reaction to the snow was fantastic.
It really was. They looked really cool next to each other, by the way. Like, Darby Allin is like the king of freaking cool anyways. That kid looks amazing. Looks like Travolta in Pulp Fiction, or Travolta in Saturday Night Fever, or maybe even Travolta in give me another cool Travolta movie. Get Shorty.
Yeah, that's good. The only one I could think of was the one where he met Kelly Preston. I think it's called The Experts.
I have no idea what that movie is.
Yeah, I used to run on cable a lot, like in the late 80s, early 90s.
That sounds right.
He was in Look Who's Talking as well.
Lost a little bit of his cool there. Oh, yeah, Grease. Probably. Yes, he was the king of cool in Grease. Absolutely. Anyways.
So Sting and Darby come on out to the ring, go to commercial, come back, and it's time for the tribute to Brodie Lee. So Cody starts off, and he says he had to write a memo the other day, and he's looking for a quote that would encapsulate Brodie, and then he recites it. And Cody says, "We've heard stories about countless people who were positively affected by Brodie. He calls Brodie a beautiful man, and he leaves behind a beautiful legacy." And he introduces his family. So it's -1, Brodie Jr. and Amanda, John's wife. And they come out to Brodie's Exalted One video package. Ten's there too, as is Tony Khan. And so Amanda, I believe it's Amanda, right? That's her name, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah. So to make sure. So she's carrying Brodie's boots, hands them to Brodie Jr. He places in the middle of the ring. And then Tony declares Brodie, he says, "No offense, Cody. Brodie was the greatest TNT champion." Hands Brodie Jr. the title and says, "You're going to be a TNT champ for life."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he says, Tony throws to a video package that closes the show. This pictures throughout Brodie's career.
And, you got to appreciate they didn't, a lot of the stuff I think was, probably provided by the family or from his Instagram or whatever. But, they had Bray in there. They had a shot of him and
Becky, yeah.
Seth and Becky, and even him with the tag titles with Rowan, Redbeard. They did the whole thing. Obviously, they couldn't use footage from WWE, but, it's sort of besides the point. Mm-hmm. The main thing was just the pictures of him and his family, and you're just watching, and you're like, oh, my God, that's just... It's pretty shaking.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and answer some questions.
Sure.
There's some good ones here. A lot of friendos here have little bits of info that we haven't really mentioned. Mexican Jedi says Silver said Brodie bought him the gear and jacket, and the cost was over $1,000 to help get him over. Forgot to mention that. Maz mentioned Santana Ortiz gave MJF that gear on their socials.
Oh, wow.
MJF apparently was not impressed with it. I missed that.
Sulin here says, can we also give some love to Alan Angels for looking after Brodie Jr. all night at ringside?
Yeah, that's another thing I was going to mention. Yeah, that was
cool.
That was really, really cool. Yeah, and you could tell, what's is it Vance? What's his name? What's his
Preston Vance.
Preston Vance. Yeah, thanks. Preston. Yeah. The dude, first time in the main event, I think, and
supported himself really well.
He really did. That's for I have no idea. I'd love to know if, for example, Cal has ever had to wrestle with a mask on. Mm-hmm. But this dude has been thrown into it. Got a great look to him. Big dude.
Yep.
Learning, still young.
Yeah.
But he got in there and under extremely emotional circumstances.
Yep.
Did really well.
Yep.
You know.
Really did. Jedi Revan with the sub. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow.
Sorry,
Stu Zom says, Tony tweeted something about buying the rights to the Tom Waits song they used in perpetuity. Wow. That's great. Man.
Saldez says, if you get a chance to catch Renee's podcast, the intro is a very moving story of her interaction with Brodie. Yeah, I listened to that this morning. It's really good. It's really good.
What was the gist of it?
She tells a story where she's flying to Orlando, I think, to meet up with Mox, and they had kind of started their courtship, but it wasn't known. And so she said she was seated between Sin Cara and Brodie. And so she said it was back then they still had WWE Magazine, and so they were flipping through the pages, and anytime there was a picture of the Shield or Mox, they would kind of pass it, over to each other. Just kind of teasing her a little bit.
That's great. So I put up a late Patreon thread. If you want to handle the Twitch ones,
sure.
And anybody here who's a patron, feel free to drop a question here. Zach Droll said, is AEW's Hall of Fame first induction Brodie Lee? If at some point they do a Hall of Fame, it makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Nick Kyle says, don't forget to hug the loved ones in your life because life isn't guaranteed. Last night I lost my childhood soccer coach. Let's hope 2021 is better than 2020. Happy New Year, friendos.
Yep. Just, hey, you know what, man? You don't even have to wait for 2021. Let's just try to make it better starting tomorrow, Like, let's do what we can. Yeah, we sort of mentioned this also, Rain Trigger. I think we mentioned this exclusively during the pre-show, but he says power rank the top 3 replacements for leader of the Dark Order: John Silver, John Silver, John Silver. In my opinion, there's one guy, it's John Silver. I sort of mentioned this during the pre-show. I don't think you need your leader to be your top champion getter guy. I mean, John Silver, he's a small guy. You could book him in a way that would maybe make him believable, but if you want, your centerpiece to be the championship guy, doesn't have to be the leader of the group, No.
Garaz Karok with the sub. Thank you very much.
Dr. Steve Winter says, I love that they kept the kayfabe going, even though it was only lightly sprinkled in. Tonight was hard, but so cathartic.
Sir Wedgie says, Steve Notes should have his own wing in the Library of Congress.
One day, you know what? One day, I'm going to compile the Steve Notes and put him in like Courier font with like ink smudges everywhere and put him in like a madman's journal.
There you go.
And sell them. I'll sell them. Gonna make $1.01 of my Steve Notes.
Haha Jackson says Archer was in a team with Jimmy Rave called the Rock and Rave Infection in TNA. Says you don't want to see him as a face.
Well, that was a much different Archer.
Yeah.
Much different Archer.
Yeah.
But I'll have to go back. Man, I really do need to get Impact Plus so I can go back and watch some of those really obscure, it's like watching early NXT where it's like, oh my God, look at that. Juice, I know CJ Parker had done a takeover or two, but when you see some of the faces like Richie Steamboat, nobody talks about that guy anymore. They talk about his dad still, but not him.
Well, he battled injuries. That's kind of why he stopped, right?
Yeah, no, I think he retired because of a back thing.
Yeah.
Shane JM says, how would you feel about Hangman being the leader? I think Hangman, I love the story with Hangman being courted by the Dark Order. I do not think for a second that he should lead the Dark Order or be an actual member of the Dark Order. This should be a temporary flirtation, if you will.
306 with some bits says, you're brought in to redesign the new TNT Championship. What do you do?
Make the TNT aspect of it smaller. It shouldn't look like...
be on the side plates. The TNT should be on the side plates.
It should not look like... It definitely should not look like the network logo. No, you don't put the network logo so prominently. No.
Go something like, pretty classic for the main plate and keep the T in, like was that mansion or something that was on the side plate for the TNT title?
Yeah.
That had some relevance. I don't recall what it was, but.
Right. Yeah.
Dang MQ Question about programming. It says, so what are your plans for the next few days? SmackDown's on New Year's Day, so will that review be on Monday's News Beef? Also, Kenny is back on Impact on Tuesday with both NXT and AEW having special shows next week. Which are you reviewing first? So our work week kicks off next week with Wrestle Kingdom Night 1. That'll be late Sunday night for us.
Sunday night, yeah.
And then that will be our de facto Monday video. Mm-hmm. And then Wrestle Kingdom Night 2. Sorry, the review for Night 1 will be our Monday video. Mm-hmm. Wrestle Kingdom Night 2, of course, will be the following evening. Mm-hmm. Preceding our watch along with that, or our reaction stream for that, is Raw. So we'll be covering Raw Monday evening, as normal. Then we'll do Wrestle Kingdom Night 2 afterwards. Our review of Night 2 will be our Tuesday video. Mm-hmm. And I guess we can pick up for Impact stream Tuesday night if you're up for it.
I'm cool doing Impact, sure.
All right.
Yeah.
And then Wednesday, we haven't really talked about what we're going to cover first Wednesday because both AEW and NXT are having special shows. Like the card for the 6th and 13th shows of Dynamite are really good. Especially the one on the 13th. Stacked.
What is NXT programming?
On the 6th, that's New Year's Evil, yeah.
I mean, if that's only okay, and then you say the 13th AEW is pretty stacked.
It's pretty stacked, but the show on the 6th has the Kenny Phoenix title match.
Oh, that's right. They pushed all that stuff back
a week back. Yeah.
I mean, if it's I don't know. We can give it some thought. My initial inclination. I don't know. We can discuss it. Like, I don't know if you wanted to do like an actual live watch along, which is always a possibility for something. I don't know. We'll have to talk about it. Yeah, we're taking SmackDown off this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're taking SmackDown off this week. I mean, I'm kind of open. I'm whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, they already taped that, right? Are there spoilers out there for it? I don't want anybody spoiling it for us in the chat or in the comments.
I haven't seen any spoilers for it.
I haven't seen like
last week. So I saw spoilers
massively immediately. Like those, the Big E title win was like an immediately. I know it was out there.
I know. The Ultimate Coder says, "Can you see the Dark Order remain leaderless and have members added in the name of the Exalted One?"
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're gonna need somebody. There's like a lot of people in Dark Order. They're gonna need somebody to sort of step up, and I don't know if it could be just a mass of people just shouting over each other. Yeah. So I do feel like they need somebody. Silver's a personality. He's got all the charisma in the world. Yeah, if he was 6'3", he'd probably be a main eventer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Solus, you've been talking for a while about what it might take for AEW to stand out from and ahead of WWE product, and I think a presentation with this degree of emotional honesty and respecting the audience above everything to honor the memory of a person, not just a character, is far beyond what the WWE is offering. I mean, even anecdotally speaking, several of the people we've talked to tonight during this stream has said, I don't really watch it anymore, but I wanted to watch this. Mm-hmm. I mean, if nothing else, the level of emotion and caring and compassion that this company has for one of their wrestlers, might give people, hey, wow, this is kind of different. This is not what I expect. Maybe they got sick. And again, I don't want to use this moment to like run down anything, but if people had been turned off in the past by anything WWE did, maybe watching AEW tonight would turn them around on possibly watching it. So, I mean, I don't think for one single second that's on their minds. Hey, let's draw new viewers with this.
No,
but it could be a side product, a side result of that.
Dr. Steve Winter says, "I love that they kept the kayfabe going, even though it was lightly sprinkled in. Tonight was hard, but so cathartic."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jorge D, is Kenny Omega the biggest heel of 2020 for making Larson watch Impact 2 times in a row and buying Impact merch too? I think that makes him the biggest babyface, to be honest with you. For me, it does anyways.
Yep. Ultimate Coder, can you see John Silver as TNT champ by the end of 2021?
I wouldn't be against it if the story was good and they kept on doling out those crazy, weird destroyers.
I know.
I mean, if they could book it so that, I mean, sometimes, maybe even 80% of the time, it's creative and how creative handles a guy. And the rest of it is, you know, you look at him. I mean, I have always understood Triple H's philosophy of, well, does this guy look like he's a badass? Does he look like he can throw?
Well, I get like he could win a fight. Yeah.
I get that. I get that. You know, I mean, when I look at Silver, does it look like he can beat some people up? I don't know necessarily, but then I watch him do that Destroyer. Holy crap.
I mean, he's not tall, but he's jacked. He's huge.
He is jacked. You know, Johnny Hungy.
Yeah. Sober Chad, what's your favorite Brodie, Luke Harper moments from his entire career?
So I will give you one of them because I don't want to spoil it because Wrestle Talk is producing. I hope I'm not spoiling this for them, but they can look at it as promotion. But you and I both gave our opinions on this for Wrestle Talk. They're putting together a video. Maybe it's done. I don't know. But one of them was his match against Randy Orton. I mean, I think that's probably my two answers are probably answers a lot of people are giving. I'm not, going to dive into obscure Brodie Lee, Chikara references. But yeah, his match with Randy Orton was pretty stellar.
Yeah. Like from this WWE run, his ladder match against Dolph Ziggler at TLC 2014. Remember watching that show at your house and watching that match, like, wow, this is fantastic. How is anybody going to follow up this match?
Yeah.
Just being so happy. Because it's like right after he split from the Wyatt family, and it was like his first real singles feud. And, and I'm just, really happy and impressed, that he had that showcase to show what he could do and hit a home run with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gareth asked, Colt seemed like someone who would eventually break free of the Dark Order. Do you think he'll be a mainstay going forward? He would be. I mean, I agree. John Silver should be, if there's going to be a new leader, should be John Silver. Colt Cabana would also be an interesting choice.
I don't disagree at all. I hadn't even thought about that. That's a really good, He's been around forever. He's already there. He's got the charisma. It's insane. It's insane to me that, I don't know, maybe he was just born too early for what they were doing later on. Because you remember he was Scotty Goldman in WWE, and it's like he was doing stuff so far ahead of its time. Like they did those picture-in-picture promos one time, and he looks up at his entrance and he's like, "Wait, if I'm there, why am I here?" And I'm like, that's the kind of stuff, like, that's revolutionary, that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
And this was like in 2000, whatever, 6 or 7 or whenever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane that a guy, because he's a really good-looking guy, he's got, obviously, I mean, you listen to one of his podcasts, Colt Cabana's got that charisma. He's so creative in the ring. His Superman pin is the most fun thing to watch.
It looks like one of the most fun wrestling moves to do.
It does, and he nails it. Like, because that ain't easy. That ain't easy. And dude, I could see him as TNT title guy,
Yeah.
Easily. Yeah. He's great.
Yeah. Frenzy54 said, I had my father on the phone during the Rowan run-in, and I was quickly trying to describe who he was, and the finish of the match, me and my father shouting in joy for -1 spot and everything going on.
Oh, I love it. That's my favorite story from tonight. You and your dad just on the phone. Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Wicked Wheezing asks, could the change to the TNT title be signaling that a secondary AEW show might be on TBS or True TV instead of TNT, so become a TV title? I don't think so, because that hasn't been really suggested, and this change seems to be because of the Brodie's passing. Although maybe it wouldn't shock me if Tony Khan didn't like that design in the first place, because it's just not a pretty belt. Maybe, but I don't. Maybe there, there's smoke there. Maybe there's some fire.
Maybe 306. I can't wait for 10 years from now when -1 debuts and crushes mega heel MJF to unify the TNT titles.
There you go. That's good. Lou NYC says John Silver versus Brian Cage and PWG is great. Power versus power. I gotta watch that.
Yeah. Adam Beveridge with the sub. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Since I typically just watch NXT, I wanted to watch AEW this week. Reckon there's a really good chance this week they break 1 million.
Stu ZOM says, did you see the pic of Jake lined up? Oh yeah, I totally forgot to mention the Jake Roberts bit too. That was great.
Maggie gifting some subs to Alex Clements and Schnauzer 96. Thank you so much, Maggie.
Thank you, Maggie. Ty 20. What's better, Sting's snow machine or MJF's Puerto Rican gear? Nothing beats MJF's Puerto Rican gear.
That's pretty great.
That
Frenzy 54 gifted a sub to Johnny Rotten. Thank you so much. Dingham Q says, what day would the second AEW TV show air? On Tuesdays and Thursdays? There's the NBA, and no way is AEW bumping the NBA. No.
I mean,
maybe they'll do it like WCW Saturday night. Maybe they'll have it on Saturday.
Exactly what I was thinking. Put it on Saturday. Absolutely. 5:05 or 6:05 or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Frenzy54 gifted a sub to Johnny Rotten. Thank you, Frenzy54. Johnny Rotten. Hopefully you enjoy your sub. There you go. Sir Wedgie says -1 versus Hook will main event All Out.
There you go.
6:05 Eastern. There you go.
There you go.
From the Enforcer.
The Enforcer remembers.
Mm-hmm. All right, everybody. That's going to do it for today's show. Twitch chat, stick around. We'll hang out for a bit. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We definitely appreciate it. Hey, everybody, have a safe and happy new year.
Yes. Yes, please do.
We're going to take some days off like we mentioned, but we'll be back with you for Wrestle Kingdom Night 1. That's exciting.
We got some stuff coming up this weekend, too.
Oh, we got we have Friendo
our predictions.
Yeah.
We got predictions and then the Friendo Award nominations.
That's right.
Coming up this weekend.
Absolutely. So check that out. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Help support Going In Raw today by becoming a Friendo Club TV member. You'll get access to new bonus episodes every week, including Friendo Club Arcade, Live Power Rank, Vintage 10 for the Wins, and Ask Steven Larson. Get access to Friendo Club TV today by becoming a $5 and up patron at patreon.com/Steven Larson, by throwing us a sub at twitch.tv/Steven Larson, or by clicking join at youtube.com/Steven Larson.